Aha, I just started this. Wow, I think I can speak. Hello, people. I've got about 10 minutes roughly before Myra joins me. If you've seen this before, she is my past life regressionist. So until she pops on, you are welcome to ask really whatever questions you want. And then when she pops on, we will get into past life regression, hypnosis, all of that stuff. I like your name. Hey, I'm Alex. One of my best friends, his name's Alex. Hello from Kansas. Hi. Nutty Nana. Oh, I love that. And I'm seeing cinnamon. I don't feel like my vision's getting bad, but like when I'm looking at this, I'm like, mm. Hi from England. Hello. I just had a consultation with someone who was from Scotland, which I know is not England, but same island. So that was cool. Arizona, hi. Georgia, hello. Oh, great. Another from Scotland. Awesome. Reno, Canada. Awesome. You think you saw me on a TV show? Yeah. When I lived in DC, I was on a few, what they're true crime shows. I played a child in all of them. Hi from England and Germany. Oh my goodness. So somebody's headed to Scotland in 5 weeks. Exciting. Florida, North Carolina, fellow North Carolinian. Hello. Yeah, to the person who saw me likely on Investigation Discovery about a girl that went missing. Yes, that was part of my face. Yeah, they put me in a very weird light. That was a choice, but whatever. I got the gig. Cool. Indiana, Illinois, Mississippi. Hello. Hi. Yeah, if anybody has any questions, you're welcome to ask before Myra gets on. Yes, trip to Wilmington. I feel like I should be working with the tourism industry or like the Wilmington Downtown Commission because I feel like I'm bringing people to my town by being like all the ghosts. I mean, it's a small city for sure. I just remember when I moved here, it had been from Raleigh, and then like before that, it was from Washington, D.C., and I was like, Wilmington's so small. It's not that small, but it just when you're downtown, it feels like it's small, which I actually really love. Hello. Um, what was that? What two ghosts did you connect with? Oh, that was George and Rupert, who I figured out I had a past life connection with. And actually, they had past life connections with each other. Is Rupert there? Yes, he's generally hanging out. How was Rupert doing? He's like, fine. He's just like, who asked that? I can't see because it scrolled up, so I'm sorry. Yeah, he's just like, hi from the UK. Oh goodness. Let's see. Yes, the TV comedy, the BBC show Ghosts, I do really enjoy that. I think it was inspired because that is how it be sometimes. I actually love that show. Yay. I also love that there are more ghost shows that are coming about that aren't all horror and gore. There's one show, it's going to be coming out on HBO. A friend of mine was involved with it, and it was a big deal. It was an independent film that was chosen out of 200 films to go to HBO. It's called Mikasa, and I recommend checking it out because it humanizes ghosts, as I think they should be humanized, considering most of them were at some point. How does Rupert feel about lives? He says that he knows that I'm talking to people, but it doesn't sound like I am. So that's that. Very, very matter of fact. He is very matter of fact. Um, let's see. Somebody asked me something. Yes, Hannah series waiting for us to have our own show where we just hang out with ghosts. I need that. Like I need it. I would love the idea because Hannah and I, when we were live together, we like cooked up this entire idea of just what was it, traveling to each other's towns and like meeting each other's ghosts. Like I feel like if I were to meet one of Hannah's ghosts, like that are just in your house, that I would be like, oh, it's a celebrity. Like I saw you on TikTok. I hope the feeling would be the same with meeting mine. And if not, you're cooler than I am. Because I would definitely be like, this is the angry man that likes to curse a lot at Hannah's house. Like that would be me. I'd be like, oh, it's just like the stories. Oh, you're a hypnotist from Texas Redhead, I believe it was, specializing in past life regressions. Awesome. I hope you follow Mayra because that is also what she specializes in. Hopefully you are of like-mindedness, but it's super cool. I love that. Um, yeah, Hannah, ghosts are so chill. Like your ghosts are chill. Yeah, mine are chill too. Like usually with visitors, they're just like, hi. It's also fun having people come to the house that can also see ghosts and who otherwise haven't met them because especially Rupert and Jimothy, I mean, they're the ones that are generally around. Um, it's so like the things that happen where they're just like, oh, that's the guy you make videos about, right? Yeah, he looks nothing like you. Or they'll say things like, for Rupert, I remember somebody who met him, they were like, you definitely got the awkwardness down. Because if you've seen my earlier videos with him, he's opened up a lot more with me because we've been talking a lot, but um like with the earlier videos, it's been very much like awkward silence. What's going on? What do you say? I currently am in North Carolina. I'm in Wilmington, North Carolina. And uh, let's see, Jimothy kind of popped over. I'm having to tell him that the live is not going to be a general live once Mayra gets on. It's going to be about the past life regression. Okay, he's awesome. It's like, well, when do we talk about the life where you knew me? Which I did a regression. Not a soldier for his side of the lines, but I apparently did die at Fort Fisher. That was a meditation that I did. It was not with Mayra, but yeah, apparently I used to draw in a past life. Ah, there's Mayra. Hello. Oh,
Hi.
it looks so pretty there. How was the weather?
It's so pretty. I'm sitting on my deck. There's a bird bath going on over here. It's really beautiful. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. It is literally freezing here.
Is it?
Hence why I am inside.
Oh, you are. Oh my goodness. Oh, wow. I've
Turn up
got
this volume a little bit.
I have some things to share with the community today. Just some really fun stuff happening.
Yes. Well, first, if you would please introduce yourself to start this off right.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mayra with Soul Sign Hypnosis. Hello, hello. I'm so happy to be here with Rebekah again. And
Yes, and
what do? I am a hypnotherapist. I specialize in past life regression therapy, QHHT, life between lives, hypnosis.
yes. And we know each other because you reached out to me, it seems like so long ago. But yeah, I mean, I guess that was almost a year ago now. Like it was like what, early spring or something like that. I had just moved back to Wilmington and we started talking about having me regressed and goodness, it went so well. I was not expecting to know two different ghosts in a past life. And that's kind of the thing as a medium when you're regularly hanging out with spirits and they become a part of your day-to-day life and you learn and you grow. It was actually through being regressed with you twice now that I was able to figure out some karmic ties that did not serve me and I needed to break.
Yeah. So you feel better now?
Absolutely. It's been very helpful, and it also deepened my experience and certainly validated a lot of feelings I was having and experiences. Just like it was mind blowing. It was just mind blowing. So I can't speak well of you enough, really.
Thank you. Thank you. And we have the first and second um, sessions that are available on YouTube, on your YouTube and mine as well. And it was wonderful. Yeah, you can hear it from beginning to end. And it's just so fun. It is just so amazing. It's enlightening. It really just opens your mind, it stretches it to so many possibilities.
Yeah, it really felt like really both times was just a sense of release as well as a sense of relief. And I know that's part of how you work as a hypnotist, also with how you run what you are doing and how someone comes out and how they're feeling and that sort of thing. And goodness, I remember after each one, I just like felt so good. I was like, oh wow, I know things now.
And you know what I always say, it's like your sessions, of course, being a medium, you are just so clear. It's like you're a natural storyteller. And you know, I always tell my clients details, 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 because what happens is the more you speak, the deeper you go. Let me repeat that. The more you speak, the deeper you go. And with you, Rebekah, it was like there was no stopping you. You were like, blah, 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 you know, just telling the story. Therefore, you just go deep, 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 getting more, 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 right?
Mhm.
And what happens is when you speak like that, when you're just so focused on what is being shown to you, it sends a signal to your subconscious mind and to your ego. The ego is always listening, always. And there's no way that the ego can get in there and critique it or judge it because Rebekah's speaking right now. And I
That's a really good
often,
point. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So I often, and I've said this before, I often wonder at some point during the session, who am I really speaking to? Am I speaking to Rebekah or Rebekah's higher self that is just allowing the story to flow? I mean, it's
Mhm.
so detailed. I mean, it's
Mhm.
beautiful to listen to. You
Well,
should write a book,
thank
Rebekah.
you. Well, I am writing a book.
Ah!
I've written Here comes my dog. I've written the first draft, and I am now in the process of writing the second draft. And thank you. Um, and I wouldn't have been able to do that to the level that I have been without being regressed by you. And I think the cooler thing is too, now that I have those connections, especially the one with my life where I knew Rupert, there is like it's almost like there's a gateway that's opened a bit more. So like if I'm trying to connect back to that memory or figure out an opinion of hers or something like that. Sorry, my dog is being
That's
noisy.
fine.
Um, but it's almost like I can get back to that state of like, oh, I remember who I was because I was taken back there, and I'm able to connect a little bit, well, a lot easier than I would have before, just because being regressed gave me that confidence, exactly as you're saying, to understand that it happened and that it's all within me and I just have to connect to it.
Yeah, I love that. I have a really amazing story to share. Just
Yes,
happened
please.
2 days ago. As you know, I do a consultation prior to a session to warm everybody up, to really help them prepare, and I do even a little light hypnosis for them. Well, so it was on Tuesday because Tuesday is like my consultation day, and so I pop on Zoom and I'm, seeing a woman and I'm like, hello, nice to meet you. And So her session, as I can see from my schedule, is next week. And she says, I'm so curious because I want you to know I have a story for you. I started getting emails from you from Soul Sign Hypnosis saying, thank you for booking a session. And she said, but I didn't book anything. Wait a minute. This is just, and I'm like, wait, what? The only reason you would receive that email from me is right after you book it, you get a confirmation. Thank you for booking. She goes, exactly. I understand that. So I realized my credit card was charged. My calendar says this is when you're having your session. And then she got a huge nudge, a push that she recognizes as spirit. Okay. I mean, her guides, thank God she is open and intuitive because she said, what did they buy for me? Because I have no idea what exactly. So I looked and I said, well, your guides ordered the past life regression. There's a reason. It was just an incredible story. She has no memory. I mean, this is a professional woman. She's a life coach. It's like, what? Yeah. So her guides somehow scheduled a session for her. Is that crazy? I mean, I was like getting chills. I was, what?
You know, the only thing remotely that I can compare to that is I, without memory of it at all, and I was not on anything. Apparently, I purchased a lipstick, and it turned out to be one of my favorite lipsticks. It came in the mail, and I actually called up and canceled my credit card because I was like, I don't know how this happened.
Yes. Yeah.
So not as cool of a story, but I'm like,
huh? Much cooler. Yes. Well, luckily she trusted, and, you know, she was just so curious. It's like, what is this? You know, and, but she believes in wholeheartedly. She says, I can't wait to see it. You know, I'm open, but she said, you know, I even asked her, I said, so you've never heard of me? You've never seen any of my content? No, I don't know who you are. I've never seen any of your videos. Nothing at all. Nothing. She is, I mean, it's just amazing. Yes. I'm so excited. Her.
Okay. Yeah. It'd be so interesting to find out who she is, will be.
Yes. Yeah. I know. I know.
So speaking of which, you mentioned, because we talked about some things that we could talk about when we go live now. You mentioned the tree, like I'm saying that correctly. Yeah. Like how we're all connected, time is flat or not flat, but please explain that to everybody, because I get what you're saying, but I think a lot of people could really use better ways of describing it.
All right. Well, so if you don't know me, I do post, of course, with clients' written permission to post their sessions on my TikTok, and so I do little previews, part 1, part 2, part 3, that tell a story. You know, a beginning, a middle, and end. There's Native Americans. There's Western. There's people. I mean, there's everything. Galactic. Everything is on there. Okay. But most recently, I had 2 different clients experience in a QHHT session. I know somebody just asked, what is QHHT? So let me just say it stands for Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique. This is a method developed by Dolores Cannon. Dolores Cannon is the little old lady that everybody sees videos talking about past lives and ETs, and Dolores Cannon is no longer here on Earth. Sorry, guys. In a few minutes, I'll have to go in and plug in. But so this is Dolores Cannon's method. So it is conducted exactly as she did. It's word for word her technique. And so this particular session is a lot longer. It allows you to see multiple past lives. And so both of these clients had a session, a QHHT session, and they both had a past life or parallel life, whatever it is, as a tree. Okay, so I decided rather than not sharing it, share it, and sharing them side by side, kind of sharing them back to back, because, you know, there's a lot of critique and fear and doubt. And it's like, well, how can you have a past life as a tree? But what you have to understand is consciousness isn't necessarily human. Consciousness can be galactic. It can be an animal. I also have past lives where people have, you know, sessions seeing themselves as an animal. Yesterday, somebody was a penguin. Oh my God. It was my first penguin. But I do have a beautiful story pinned as a whale, pinned on the top of my TikTok. But these two trees, you have to listen to how beautiful their thought process is, why they decide to become a tree, right? What does it feel like to be a tree? What do you notice? And believe me, they do notice. They're very aware. They're very much alive. You know, we've all known that it's like, oh, hug a tree, touch a tree, but everything is alive, everything, including your tree, every plant. Talk to your plants. And so I'm slowly rolling out the second one. The first one is already there. That one was more of a tree that lived in the forest. And eventually it gets cut down. So the tree shares what that feels like, knowing what is coming. Very aware of human life, very aware of human emotions. So please, please give love to your trees. Say hello, give them a name, especially if they're right in your backyard or front yard. And it really is, pay attention, you know. And one of the things that I started actually channeling some of my questions. I don't even remember. I just shared one where literally the tone of my voice completely changes, because when you're hypnotized, it's almost like I mimic your vibration. And quite often, I don't really remember where these questions are coming from. If I hear it back, I'm like, damn, that's a good question. I don't even remember asking that. But in the one that I just posted today, the tone of my voice, it's a little robotic.
Mhm.
And I'm like, you know, that's not really me. And I don't even remember asking that. So, and I do channel. So it would seem natural to sometimes just channel. I invite my higher self, your higher self. So I feel that some of my questions are channeled through to really achieve the best session. But one of the final things that one of the trees said when I asked, what would you have hoped to receive, or what would you have wished for? And it was gratitude by humans. And it was just so beautiful the way it was conveyed. So please do listen and give it some love. I really want as many people to hear it and just, you know, savor it, because it is really beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love trees.
Yes.
So,
When you
um,
hear it, you're going to want to just go in your backyard and just like say hello to your lavender and just say, I appreciate you. You're so beautiful. Like, I have a huge lavender tree right here, and it's like,
it's a
hi.
great way to be present too. You know,
Yes.
in a very fast-paced kind of society, we're taught that Earth is to serve us, but it really is a coexistence. And when you recognize that coexistence, it changes everything.
Yes. I once conducted someone that had multiple lives, and one of them, she decided to be a rock. And so what you have to understand is you aren't the rock, you merge with the rock. The rock is just there, but your consciousness can merge with it. And it was simply that she just needed to rest. And it can stay in the rock for 20 years, 30 years, however long it's that's needed to just stand, to just be, to be an observer. And that is all. And just be grounded. And that is all. And then when you're ready, your consciousness releases.
I feel like many of
It's
us may be looking at rocks in our futures. Whether we are a part of one or we are just appreciating it.
Yes. Yes, yes.
There was a question that came up that I would like to weigh in on a little bit, and then I'd like to ask you. Somebody said that they were an author and they have not done a past life regression because they feel like their imagination would just make it up, because as an author, they're highly imaginative. Now, what I would say to that, and this is something I've learned recently, what if the imagination were connected to more than you can fathom? What if when you are seemingly coming up with these scenarios in your head that you actually are channeling something from
Oh, yeah.
somewhere? So
Totally.
if somebody were to come to you and they're like, oh, well, how do I know that I'm not just making it up because I'm highly imaginative? Like, what would you tell them?
And they do. I just want you to know, that's a very valid question. And that is one that's coming from ego, I will say. It's coming from ego because it's coming from fear. It's doubt. Okay. And not everybody's ready. Not everyone is ready to do this type of work. And the author, whoever you are, I watch tons of TV, tons. I'm a big TV fanatic. And I love period pieces. And it's easy to say, well, if I see myself, in a past life, am I making it up? First, your imagination is not that crafty. Your imagination, don't give yourself that much credit that you can hold a story for an hour and go from scene to scene, seeing people, feeling emotions. You can't make that up. Mm-hmm. And Rebekah, what I'm talking about. When you go into the scene, you become that person when you go that deep.
Yeah. And as a writer, I totally get that too, because like I will see scenes, or I will get the idea of a conversation, or like I'll see a picture or something like that, but it is something that I'm actively working on getting from my head into the keyboard. So like I think of the regression where I went back to primarily 1781, where I popped out of it, and there was even a part of me that, even as I was getting regressed and like I started to feel like I was going back to that one, but I was like, I want to be sure that it's real, like I was like, I don't want to force it on myself. Like I want my higher self to decide what life I go back to, what's best, rather than me be like, hey, I just want to do this. So it was fascinating to go back to that, and I could almost taste, and because of the smell being so strong, when I initially got back, I was just the smell of salt, fish, and piss, which is a port city. And I was just like, it was kind of overwhelming, because I was like, there I am, I was like, I can see everything. Like, it's not like I'm writing it down. It's just happening so quickly that it's not so much the cognitive process of creating the world, it's simply being a part of the world. And that I would say is what the big difference is.
Yes. And I prepare everyone. And one of the biggest topics that I emphasize is how to handle the ego. Okay. And so if you go on my TikTok and listen to, I mean, there's hundreds of sessions on there, and everyone struggled a little bit. That's human, but you must stay in trust. Everyone there had the same conversation and the same tips and guides from me to handle it. And when the little antennas come up from the ego, how to handle it so that you can stay focused. At some point, it's so far back, it doesn't matter. At some point in the session, you're just in it. You're just in it. Usually, if there's struggle, it's in the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you getting any questions from your end? I feel like I've been going through so
Yes.
many of mine.
Let's see. Let me go back here. Okay, so a lot of hellos. Somebody said penguin. Yes, a penguin. I think I'm going to be sharing one that she was a horse. That one I did maybe, gosh, about a year ago, and I still have it stored. So I want to share a little bit more, of just some variety, variety of not just human lives or galactic lives. So eventually you will hear the penguin story, which was really about survival.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, those little penguins. Yeah, it was really about survival. And eventually it did get eaten. But that is the circle of life. So, okay. Okay, let's see. Questions. Okay, so Monica says, I have an important question about a past life, but let me scroll further because I don't see it. Hold on. There's just some comments here. I've always been drawn to ancient Egypt. Yes, I have lots of Egyptian past lives on there as well. I had a reincarnation at a time. Oh, I don't know. Okay, just hang on. Let me see. Oh, does everyone see, smell, and how do people perceive their past lives? That's a great question. I'll answer a little bit, but Rebekah, I'd love to have your answer because, you've got all your clairs, right? Think about what, if you're clairvoyant, clairsentient, which ones are more powerful. So not everyone sees as clear as others. So everyone perceives a past life differently. Some scenes are clearer than others. Some of them might be a little fuzzy. Well, when it's fuzzy, you can tap into your other gifts because it's not just about what you see. It's also what you feel, what you sense. And you can tell a story. In fact, I have conducted sessions with people that can't see at all. They cannot, but they desire to do this work. And you got to lean on all your other gifts, and they do a brilliant job. So instead of, when they're in a scene, instead of hearing them say, I see mountains, they're going to say, well, I sense mountains. I'm surrounded by mountains. Excuse me. I'm sensing them around me, or I feel very cold, and I feel like I'm standing in snow. So you're going to hear those words, feeling, sensing versus seeing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And not everyone smells. Some do, and I know you did.
Yeah, which it's clairsalience, which is smelling. So that's on a spiritual thing. And that's not something that so often comes through in my waking. Like I typically don't roll in and smell ghosts. Like I did, let's see, it was at the Railroad Museum recently. I smelled a woman's perfume and I was just like, oh. And then two other people that I was with, the perfume was strong enough and nobody else was there except for us, and we weren't wearing that perfume. We all smelled it in the same place, like at different times, and we even looked around. We're like, is there an air freshener around here? Like, what? So
Yeah.
it was interesting through the regression, the senses that I already have were enhanced. So I am clairvoyant. I primarily see on my mind's eye. So, like, doing a regression fits right in there, like I'm able to see. That being said, it is just like what you said with, let's say somebody has clairaudient tendencies and they hear really clearly, whether it like through their mind's hearing or through their audible ears or through their physical ears, sorry. And
Mhm.
you use those senses to channel just as you're channeling yourself or your higher self and those messages. So even when you say when somebody says, I get the sense that I'm your mountains, well, that's a sign of claircognizance, to understand or have that clear knowing where you may not see it, but you can still understand it. I was speaking with somebody today in a consultation who they had aphantasia, so they don't see
Yeah.
the mental images in their head. However, they were talking about how when they channel, they just know stuff and they just hear stuff. And I said, okay, well, there you go. That is how you perceive things. And
Yes.
it's a wild thing that, one, a lot of people don't recognize that they are having these experiences until you're like, hey, let's break it down and talk about it. But two, that they also, and I mean, it totally makes sense, but I'm really just connecting it now, that would be how you're getting this information when you're having a regression as well. So that is fascinating.
Yes, I some people email me and they'll say I have aphantasia. Can I still do this? And it's interesting that some people self-diagnose, right? And I have a little test that I put them through,
That's right.
and they don't have aphantasia. Okay. So be careful what you say about yourself, because it's like you're believing something that really isn't quite, real.
Mhm.
And they may have some challenges, but they don't have aphantasia. There are, I can get them to see. And
Mhm.
so, yes, they are absolutely. And even if you have aphantasia, again, you will sense your way and feel your way through a past life, because somewhere in there you have that memory bank of your 5th birthday, of your 10th birthday. I think that they're perceiving it just differently in their minds, and some people just aren't comfortable saying I see.
Mhm.
They just don't. And it's fine. I don't care how you say it. If you want to say sense or feel, that's okay too. Whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
But everyone can do this. It is just as easy as laying down and taking a nap. It is pretty much the same state. It's the state just before you fall asleep. You do this on your own. So why would hypnosis be any different? And what it is fear, fear, fear of maybe what you're going to see, what you're going to learn. So you can create your own blocks, and
Mhm.
it's not necessary. So, all right. So let's see. There are, when you're drawn to a time period, does that usually signify a past life? Yeah, I believe so. I believe so. I loved, okay, my favorite flower is daisies. And I don't know why. Daisies are just so simple. And, but in my mind's eye, I just see a field of wild daisies. And there's something about the sound of a distant train, not close, you know, distant, that makes me feel warm, right? And homey. And I also love, love, love the sound of church bells in the distance. Like wherever I am, if I hear, I will pull over, roll down my windows. It's like, oh my God, I love that sound. I just love that sound. So sometimes it's not just time periods, it's smells and certain flowers and certain things that just kind of stop you in your track, that take you back to a good life. There's
Mhm.
It's attached to a memory, fond memories, and that's
Mhm.
why you like it. Yeah.
there was somebody a bit farther back who they were saying that sometimes when they let their mind go and they're otherwise awake, that they'll sometimes see pictures of places they've never been. I I'll answer from the medium side of things, and then I'd like to know your answer. From the medium side of things, you want to be sure to distinguish whether those are your memories or whether someone is feeding those memories to you, because that is a thing. In fact, going back to the author question that happened earlier,
Yeah.
I have friends who have been channeling spirits and they didn't realize it. They just wrote the book, or they wrote the story, or they wrote the play, or they wrote the movie, or you name it. And then the spirit will make themselves known and be like, yeah, that was my life. Like, I have met numerous people that have had this happen.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important. I know from a mediumship side of things, if you see pictures that you don't recognize, if you hear words, phrases that you don't recognize, take a moment, ask your higher self, was that you? Or
Yeah.
are you channeling something? And then
Mm-hmm.
you decide where to go from there. But that's my answer as a medium. What is your answer as a past life regression?
Okay, give me the question again and then remind me that I want to share how you can ask your higher self a question without a pendulum, because you could always use that, but how you can ask with your body. Please don't let me forget, because it's
Muscle testing.
I'll even demonstrate it. But give me
Yes.
the question again.
Okay. So the question, from how I'm remembering it, because it's way up on the list now, is the person was saying that when they close their eyes and they are in a relaxed state and they're still awake, they can sometimes see images, through their mind's eye that they otherwise can't explain. Like, they've never been to that location. It's just
Yeah.
seemingly random.
Mm-hmm.
And is that a past life?
Yes. Your higher self wants to, if you're going to another time, those are past lives. Absolutely. Without a doubt. We are all very open and intuitive. Stop doubting. Stop doubting. It is so important. Now, when you see that picture, just say, hey, I just saw that. What does it mean? Is there something to learn here? Or stay in it and ask the question when you're in it. Why am I being shown this? Because yes, we absolutely see things. I was sharing last week or the week before, a couple weeks ago, I'm just sitting here wide awake, sitting at my desk, and all of a sudden I saw this man in my mind, like his face, complete stranger, and I'm wide awake, busy doing my thing, and I could see his little haircut. He kind of looked like Roman haircut, sort of with like little bangs, um, olive skin, maybe 30s. And head. So, and he appeared to be from a different time. We are all, this is happening to everybody. We're not cuckoo, we're not crazy. We are finally getting to that point where our gifts are, you've been asking for it. I know you have. We have been asking for these gifts. How and why, can I, and when can I? And it's like, here you are starting to receive some things, but then you question it. Is it real? Am I making that up? And it's like, just trust. I love that. And just continue questioning, well, what is that? So yes, in meditation, tons of past life information can come through. And you can also ask for it too.
And I'll say real quick, for a few questions that I'm getting on, can you grow your skills on how you perceive? Yes, that is one of the things that I cover in my consultations, to help people realize what they're already doing and to see how they can build things. I like to suggest a lot of games with people, because that's no longer the, I've got to get it right and channel it correctly. It's suddenly like, oh, I'm playing a game by looking outside and seeing if I can see pictures in clouds.
Yes.
you know? So it is something that you can grow. It's
Absolutely.
something that you can learn from. And just like with being regressed and being more open to that, it takes some practice for some people, and that's entirely fine.
Yes. That's a great thing to say, because what I always tell people, a lot of people read Dolores Cannon and it's like, I want that. I want to go up. I want to be, I want to go up into the cosmos, and I know I'm galactic. I know I'm a star seed. And then all of a sudden you'll come and see me and you're having a little life on a prairie somewhere, or you're in a little town here on earth. You're not ready. It's not that you're not wrong, but your guides have something else that they want to show you, something more pressing, more important. But don't give up, because you can see a practitioner and have multiple lives, and explore them. So sometimes, yes, some of my clients that aren't ready, it's almost like if you expect it and that's what you want, you're saying, I want, you're not getting that.
Mhm.
Right. And that has happened. And then you're disappointed. And it's like, it's really important to come into this with no expectations, let go. And that's you are not in control. You must allow the higher self to take the wheel, and trust that they're going to take you where it's necessary to learn.
And it's the same thing for channeling as a medium too. It's kind of like I came to a place last year where I had done a lot of work, and I had done a lot of the shadow work with cleaning up my mental health and figuring out a lot about myself, asking myself the hard questions. And at some point or another, I was just like, you know what? I've done all of this, and I need to embrace the idea that I might not get anything. Like, I might sit there and channel and not get anything. And for me, it was embracing that and knowing that I was still 100% of a person
Yeah.
just by being me and being right here. It was embracing that and then just kind of falling into it and just being like, you know what? Who knows? And then, like, that's what I did. I just kind of did a trust fall backwards. And to this day, whenever I channel, especially when speaking with people's loved ones or talking with spirit guides or what have you, to this day, I don't always know what I'm going to say or where it comes from. I merely
Mhm.
channel so that way, like this happened a number of times today during consultations where I just said things and they would be like, whoa, that's what so and so always told me when they were alive, or I keep getting that imagery, or I keep seeing that somewhere. And I'm just like, I didn't know. I just said it.
Yes. Wow.
You asked me to remind you of I believe what you're talking about is muscle testing, and if you're not, I'm even more excited to
Very
see.
close.
Yes, okay.
Very, very close. So I'm going to stand up. Okay. It's not quite muscle testing, but um, now in order for this to work, and again, some people, they'll get it right now. You can test it and have a conversation with your higher self and ask it yes or no questions. Okay, yes or no. Now, I do know, number one, you must be well hydrated. Okay, if you are not hydrated, go drink water for a day or so. Drink good water, because this works when you are in balance. Okay, yep. Okay, so for people that say, yeah, it's not working for me, it will it because it works. And it's a matter of okay, hold on. So you got to stand up straight, okay, with your hands just kind of down like this. Look straight, again, very hydrated, and just breathe. You're about to connect with your higher self. This is not a game, okay? You're never not connected. So remember, you're never not connected to your higher self. And talk to the higher self, like, okay, I'm going to try this. I want to communicate with you. Just have that conversation. When you stand straight, now I know which direction for me is a yes. Yes for me is forward. No for me is back. You're going to feel your body move back. And so just for shits and giggles, okay, we're just going to say is my, I'm going to stand up straight, and you can test it and just say, is my name Mayra? Is my name Mayra? And just wait. And sometimes it's instant. And I'm already feeling myself being pushed forward to the point that I have to hold my desk. Okay? This is, so apparently I'm hydrated. Okay? And then ask a question. Again, standing straight, take a deep breath, just ground. It's very important. Ground. And then ask it something that you know the answer is no. Like, maybe you don't have children. So you may say, do I have 3 living children? And just watch how the body moves back as the answer is no. Practice this. This is a wonderful way of communicating with your higher self. So easy. It gives you yeses and nos, and it's an easy way. Everyone says, how can I connect? How can I connect? Muscle testing obviously is another one, but that you need somebody else, to kind of facilitate a little bit more with hands in muscle testing.
Oh,
Unless
I'm thinking something else. Yes. So one thing I wanted to mention, the technique that you're using, I actually learned in a self-help book.
did
And
you?
the author did not mention it, like as connecting with the higher self, which I believe that we are, though he was just saying, hey, connect with yourself.
Yeah.
And for me, it was a more grounding experience when I did start being like, I'm going to connect with something beyond me because I feel like I'm sometimes.
Yes.
So that's fascinating. Yeah, with muscle testing, sometimes it can be as simple as pulling.
Yeah.
So and so you've seen this before. This is actually something I learned from Emily Dexler, who's also on here as Liker of Words. But I want to say it's like the no is not powerful enough to actually hold it, but a yes is. So you take one hand, and once again, go to their pages to get the better version of this.
Yeah.
But, just you can ask yourself yes or no questions. But I will say I do prefer the method that you're talking about because there's something about that full connection that just helps for larger
Understanding.
questions.
And you will, I do this sometimes with clients where they're standing in my office. It's like, oh, let's give this a whirl. And they will like literally feel a shove. It's like, and then other people, very subtle. And it's like, it's okay. Practice your technique, and just know that your higher self wants to do this. They want to communicate with you and talk with you. So it's a fun way to get, advice and direction. But again, it's, keep it simple in the beginning. Keep it simple. And sometimes if you question it, ask the same question again and see if you get the same answer. And if you get the answer, guys, trust. Stop doubting, because then the magic is gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to say hi to everybody that keeps saying hello to me. I have several clients, friends on here right now, and I just want to say hi to everybody. Hi, guys.
Someone asked if you can channel your higher self or invite your higher self to take over your physical. So, in my understanding of the higher self, you are your higher self. It's just merely connecting to that which you've experienced and that which you're going to experience, which I wanted to ask you this question. You've explained it before. I'd love to hear it again. Talking about time not being as linear when I would say spiritual, because I feel like our bodies make us feel like it's linear because we're born and then we go through life and then our bodies eventually decay. But on a spiritual level, it's very different. So I'd love to hear your response on that again.
Okay. I felt like my screen was sort of lagging. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't know who taught this. I read it somewhere. So again, and I might have said this in another live. This is how I describe the higher self to clients. And I've repeated this before, and whoever said it, I give them credit. This is not mine. So the higher self, think of it as an octopus. Okay. And the octopus, the head is the higher self. And the tentacles that are coming off of the octopus are the lives that the higher self is currently experiencing. Time does not exist. This is a whole other live that we can talk about. Time does not, it exists here on this timeline, but time doesn't exist in other planets, and it doesn't exist in the afterlife, right? And so, we are the ones with the clocks. We are the ones with the time and the days and the weeks. And so we call it past lives. We do, just for the purpose of, what you feel that you're going to get. We call it a past life, but it's really not a past life. Your higher self, which is you, the real you. You are not the real you, okay? You are just simply a human in a body having an experience on behalf of your higher self. You are that higher self. And so your higher self is experiencing all of these, what we call past lives, on other timelines. Sometimes you're going to feel anxiety. Sometimes you're going to feel maybe depressed. You don't know why. You wake up and it's like, oh, I feel like, oh, right? Well, it could be that you're experiencing something in one of your parallel lives, something that is bothering you over there, and it bridges somehow. If you're tuned in, tapped in, you can feel very sensitive. And sometimes emotions bridge from past lives, parallel lives, into now. That's why when you have these regressions, it is so healing. It is so healing because you just simply trust that you're going to be taken to wherever it is, that it will help you. It will help give you closure, heal in ways that you never really thought it could. It really can be life-changing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how I describe the higher self.
Mm-hmm.
And all of the different lives and one of the lives could be a tree. It could be a penguin, like we talked about earlier, right? Who knows?
Yeah. I have been reading a few of my comments too. Just like it's a fascinating thing that's happening right now, where people are like, what is time? Like there's this like, I'm not going to call it a debate, but some people are like, it is a measurement. What about genealogy and like all this stuff? And I'm just like, uh-huh. This is certainly one of those things where it's like, hey, it something to mediumship, to all of this stuff, to being connected with spirit, is to, one, recognize when we are in, some people call it the meat suit, I call it the skin suit. There is time associated with the physical. It is necessary to recognize that time for the spiritual is, I'm going to say, nothing like time in the physical. I know even from a ghost perspective, sometimes I've talked about ghosts sleeping, and really it's a matter of them not focusing on being conscious, and so they kind of fade, their light fades, or their consciousness fades. So with them, they might wake up 10 years later, and it might just seem like they were asleep for a few hours, but that's how spirit time works. It's, once again, it's not the requirement of keeping a physical vessel healthy and alive and awake and that sort of thing. That's why soul time works very differently.
Let me ask you something. Did George or Rupert, I know that there was some drama
Some
that
drama.
came came out of it. I'm aware. It's like, oh boy. But how did you explain the session that you had, right? And what we were doing? How did you explain that to them? And did they understand?
Okay, so the answers were very different.
Mm-hmm.
With George, and I remember with that past life, on our timeline, I'll say there's George the ghost that I met in this life, who's from the early 1900s. And then prior to that, his previous life, if we're in some kind of linear timeline, that was when I knew him and we were married, and it was a not good relationship. And that's why my
Right.
past life left him. Um, so when I went to him, one, I didn't do it immediately because he was judgmental about things. Like in general, it like even me being a medium, he was kind of like, "Oh, that's so cute," and I'm like, "Well, I'm talking to you, so maybe
Yeah.
that's kind of cool." Like I don't know. Um, but when I did finally go up to him, I actually did a voice memo on my phone because I wanted to get it right. But I was just like, "So we were married and it didn't work out," and he was just like, "I don't believe in this." And I was like, "Okay, cool. Well, that's how I know you, at least from that life, because at the time I didn't do the other regression yet." And yeah, he flat out, as a ghost, was pretty much just like, "I don't believe in past lives."
Yeah.
So I was just like, "This is
And
wild,
why
dude."
would he? Yeah, why would he? In his time, that was
He would,
all, it was
yeah,
nonsense. And, there were seances, what people would maybe do
that's what he
seances.
thought.
Yeah.
Yes,
And it
he
was
he
for
he
quacks.
referred, yeah, he, I forget the exact word that he used, but he said for it was fortune tellers. He said,
Oh,
"Oh,
yeah.
fortune tellers." And I was like,
Mhm.
"Not the same." Um
Yeah.
thing is though, he, especially when things came about with Rupert and just things kind of went deeper, he did start believing in it, but in his ghost form, that life of his did not believe in past lives until a number of things started to line up, and he was like, "Whoa, we're connected."
Mm.
Um, so that was his response. Rupert's response was fascinating because basically when I met him, and I was worried that he was too clingy, and I felt like he would have required too much of me at the time because he wasn't strong in his own being. He wasn't grounded. Um, when I left Wilmington and I didn't allow him to follow me, when I came back, pretty much the first thing that he said, it wasn't just in front of me, it was in front of my partner and then two of our really good friends, one of which is clairvoyant and clairaudient. I mean, he's got many clairs. Rupert walks up behind me and I was just like, "Oh, hey,
Thank you.
he's here, you know?" And Rupert just flat out says, he's like, "I knew you. You were my wife." And I was like, "Whoa, that's a lot." Like, we haven't spoken in
Wow.
like 4 months, and you just told this to my friend, and my partner's here. And I was like, "How did you know this?" Like, I'm really confused. Um, and that was the thing when I did the regression with you. I was I was concerned about, my own ego being like, "Oh, is it because I just really want this?" But because basically, when I asked him, I was like, "Where did this come from? Like, how did you just like suddenly figure that out?" And he reminded me of times where he and I would be having a conversation and he would look down and say things like, "When did you get that short?" And I'd be like, "What?" It's
Huh.
because Mary was taller. Or
Yes.
there was another time when he said he was really taken aback because my singing was so different. Because in this life, I've had classical training for singing, and Mary had not. She had hardly spoken at all. So her voice was always just kind of very frail. And there was a time when he looked at me and he said, "When did you?" He was just very confused. He was just like, "What? Your voice is different." And I was just like, "No, it's not." Um, but there were little things that he was doing, and I could tell he was so confused. And
Yeah.
I asked him further about that and I said, "How did you know who I was? I look entirely different. And this is a different time period. I mean, this everything." And he said that there are still small things that I do that Mary did. It's a perspective thing. And it's also, he just said that he recognized me. He was just like, my soul recognized you. That's all it was. I just knew.
Wow.
Um, and it took a regression for me to finally be like, oh, yeah, it's real for me too. But
Oh
for
gosh.
the
Wow.
regression, I allowed him to sit in on the session. And I remember telling you this from before.
Mm-hmm.
I told him he had to be quiet. I was like, no, this is my
Mm-hmm.
regression. I'm not guaranteeing that I'm even going to go back to that life. I'm going to do what my higher self wants. I'm going to go with it. You know, I just got to lean into it. And
Right.
when I was being regressed, he started asking questions about like what was going on. And he's like, are you okay? Like, are you all right? And I was just like, stop. If you do not
Yes.
stop, I will push you out right now.
Yeah, he was
So
distracting you. Mm-hmm.
yeah, he was. I was like, I need to regress. That was the stress that was going through my head of like, I need to regress. But he quieted down and he just listened during the regression. And afterwards, after we had hung up from the call, he was very emotional and like I was very emotional. And we just kind of stood there with each other like,
Wow.
cool.
Yeah.
That was
Wow.
that.
That's incredible. That really is incredible. Wow. There is
So
a
thanks
really
again.
great, you're welcome. Until the next one, we'll see where it goes. Someone here asked a great question because we had been discussing time. But is it possible to look into a future life if time isn't real? Yes, yes, yes. My clients go to future lives, and some are galactic future lives. Um, so the answer is absolutely yes. And some clients have gone to lives where Earth, our Earth, it doesn't exist. It does not exist. Yeah. This is way in the future, but it doesn't exist. But it's not all doom and gloom. It's not all doom and gloom because they actually take us somewhere else. They take us somewhere else. I did a regression and it's like, this is, I'll talk about it on the live, but I don't know what sort of feedback and comments would come if I shared this. Um, that Earth, that there will be humans that will decide that they want to stay here, but it becomes quite they regress. They start to there's not much left here, but the humans that do want to leave are taken to other Earths. Okay, this is way in the future. But my client who was actually she was actually having this session, her job, her mission, she was a being from another planet. And what they did is they would come here to Earth and deliver food and supplies to the people that remain here. And every few months, they would come, land, and leave food and supplies because they were growing them somewhere else on another Earth. It's a very, very interesting session. And it's there, it's shareable, but I don't want to share something that's going to instill fear. And I have a feeling that I'm not going to worry about it, because even if I was here, I'd be one of those humans that said, let's go. Let's go, and I'm out of here. But I know I'm not sure if everyone's ready to hear that.
That's fair. I think part of
Mhm.
that too, it's so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day worries. And something
Mhm.
about either it's past life regression or future life regression or regression or parallel life or something like that, it's it allows you to see perspective beyond the what's going to happen. It allows you to just simply be and experience either as you for in a different time or as, you know, seemingly somebody else, but it's still you. Um, and I think it's something to learn from as well, where in a world where we're told to get caught up in the day to day, you know, like the 24/7 news and like all the things going on, remember, even this life,
Mm-hmm.
it's also about being present. It's about connecting with that tree, you know?
Yes. Yeah. There's a good question here that I think some people want, and I don't know if they're still on here, but Kat is asking about our thought on glitches in the matrix and what people are experiencing. Well, I enjoy listening to stories. Of, you know, there's a gal here on TikTok that, you know, that's what she does, is share, you know, people put it in their comments and she shares them. Um, I personally have not had, I don't think I'm aware of having an experience of a glitch with time the way other people have. What about you, Rebekah?
You
Do you
know,
even know what we're talking about?
I do. I do.
Okay.
I would say for me personally, it's when I've had things happen that I was like, wait, how did, or like memories that seem to be from me but weren't. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I always attribute that to experience, like an experience from a parallel life or something of the sort, or like deja vu or that kind of thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Plus, like when it comes to the Matrix, I'm kind of like, you know what? If that's really all that's out there, if we are all just bodies in tubes supplying robots, okay. Like I'm
Yeah.
just kind of like, if that's for me to figure out, I know I'm going to be on a path that will take me there. But
Yeah.
right now, when I'm in the present, I'm kind of like, well, it's cool to think about. Like there's so many mysteries in the universe. I
Yes.
always say to people when they ask me, like, what do you believe is out there? I say, I believe in the black that's behind the stars. Does anybody know what's out there? No, we have all this science to, you know, learn about stars and to look at them and to see different times and like all of that stuff. And still, science can still only go so far. And so that's where I'm like, that's where faith or what have you, or belief, or even belief in self comes from. It is the
Mm-hmm.
black behind the stars. And I just embrace that and accept that and be like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what's out there. And that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And that's being open. You know, you haven't, you know, experienced it personally, but it's just being open. And, you know, that's enough. Even that's enough. I know someone here commented that they don't believe in past lives, but they're here and they're listening and they're enjoying the conversation. And thank you, you know, for being open enough to stop and just have a listen. You know, have a listen. That's good.
Yeah. I still get people who they'll leave comments on my videos saying, oh, I don't know if I believe in all of this, but I enjoy the stories.
Yes.
Honestly, that's, I mean, it's not my favorite, but it's one of the things that I see and I do get excited about the prospects of humanity, because we don't have to believe each other. We don't have to believe in what each other believes in. It's a matter of, can you see the perspective of another? And I know for me, when people see my videos and even if they're like, whoa, I don't believe any of this, I'm like, hey, that's fine. If people who watch my videos, if they happen to have some kind of out of body or paranormal experience while they're alive, if they just take a moment and remember, hey, not all ghosts are bad. I know this because I saw some of Rebekah's stories. Like, that's what I want. I want people to not be afraid just because they don't understand something. That's it.
Mhm. Yes. I love that. I love that. Oh, it's been so great to chat with you. I do have an announcement. February 1st, I am doing a past life regression live on TikTok. So I'm really excited. We're going to hit that live button just as she begins to land in her wherever it is. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So it's going to
Yes.
be, she's going to be physically here in my home office, and we're going to set it up. So it's February 1st, and it's going to start, I believe, right around 4:30. I think that's kind of our aim. If it might be 4:25. It might be, it's whenever whenever she lands. So just if you're interested in listening to a past life regression live, because some people say, oh, can you do it now? Can you do it now on live? And it's like, well, you have to do an induction. You have to relax the person. And so I'm excited. It's a first for me to do this. So we'll see how it goes.
Yes.
Oh, and
Awesome.
by the way,
Well,
that's 4:30 Pacific Standard. I'm in California.
thank you for that. Yeah, I was going to be like,
Yeah.
that's not Eastern time.
Yeah, I know it's going to
Well,
be a little harder for people here on the west side and the west coast to jump on, with people that have jobs. But yes, so February 1st, 4:30 Pacific Standard is the goal for the time.
and for anybody who doesn't want to wait for that, or anybody who can't catch it, you have so many videos up on your YouTube
Yes.
of other live recordings, I guess you
Yeah.
could say, of your regressions.
Mm-hmm. For
Um,
sure.
if you would please give yourself another pitch. Where do people find you? How do
Oh,
people find you?
here on TikTok, Soul Signs Hypnosis, Instagram, Soul Signs Hypnosis. You know what? The easiest way is my link. The link on my profile takes you everywhere, because my YouTube is actually my name. So just go on the link on my um, TikTok, and that'll take you to YouTube. It takes you to my website, soulsigns.net. It's the easiest way.
Awesome. Well, I wanted to thank you
Yes.
again for everything. Oh my goodness, it's always
Oh, thank
wonderful
you
having
so
you on
much.
for
And
a
I know,
live.
yeah, and most of my followers already follow you, because that's how they found me, through you. So thank you. Thank you so much. And I can't wait to see where you go next. Whenever you're ready, let me know.
Okay, I will. You know what happened with the last time where I was like, I think it's time. I'm going to
You'll
email
know.
Mayra. Yeah, it's just that. All right. Well, thank you again. Thanks everybody for watching. This recording will be up on my YouTube as soon as I can get it there. That's Quirks and Conjure. All my links as well are in my bio. And I hope to see you again. I'll be going live again soon.
Yes. Thanks, everybody. Bye. Good night.